Hey guys, and welcome to On Wednesdays We're Pink. Today we're talking about our romantic histories and the films and pop culture that helped shape those.
And we had so much to talk about this week that we actually had to split the episode into 2 parts instead of cutting a lot of things out.
So the one that you're about to listen to right now is part 1 of our romantic histories, and you can stay tuned next week for the conclusion, part 2.
We get a little bit in depth about our relationships and sexual histories, so you know what? Moms, go ahead and tune out.
The rest of you, please enjoy. Why did you have to say that? I'm Josiah Rizzo.
I'm Benji Jones.
And on Wednesdays, we wear pink. Benji?
Yes?
Benji.
What?
Benji.
Say my name again and I'll hit you.
How often do you download and delete dating apps off your phone?
Oh gosh. Okay, so, I will say I've had a lot of dating apps in my life, and usually I only stick with a certain few that I keep, or that I'll keep for a while and then delete and re-download the same ones, and then I'll try different ones along the way that I usually never like. I have deleted and re-downloaded Grindr about 3,000 times from 18 to now.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Was that it?
What?
Was that the first reference that you've ever made on our show that's actually going to make it through?
Maybe. Because everything else accidentally gets
deleted.
Yeah.
I guess that's probably a good place to start then.
Well, I'm Benji and I am a homosexual.
And I'm Josiah Rizzo and I'm straight. And on Wednesdays, for some reason, we wear pink.
We wear pink because the plastics told us to.
Yep. This is a pop culture podcast where we talk about film and media.
And everything else.
And the impact that it's leaving or has left on our lives. And today, sorry, Mom and Dad, we're going to talk about our history in the romance department.
All right. Mom, honestly, I don't care if you listen. Just don't let me know that you've heard all of this.
I feel like that's, and I know my parents listen to every single episode.
Yeah, my mom actually, I don't think my mom has listened to, I think she's listened to
She's going to start with this episode.
Half, right? She probably would. This would be. But also, I don't know how deep we're going to go into this. So
I mean, it's because it's not even, I'm not going to be like talking about gross things. I'm just going to be honest about some things.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
Let's go.
So yeah, today we're just talking about our romantic histories.
Can I say really quickly that I'm a Slytherin today, and I'm going to try to act the part?
Stupid. No, you're just wearing.
No, you're just wearing. I'm being a Slytherin.
Why do you always find ways of annoying me? Every time I think I got this, I figured you out. You just do something new.
Find a new way
to bother the heck out of me.
Under that skin. Okay. Go ahead. You said the origin of this.
I feel like I'm constantly, well, I was raised Christian. I still am Christian, but I feel because I'm such an honest and vulnerable person, period. And I am learning how to be a lot more deliberate and a lot more protective of my vulnerability and just being, setting boundaries that only certain people get to know the real me and kind of the real thought process. Whereas like before, I'm pretty word vomity. I use my honesty and my sincerity as a means to connect, and almost like it's a credit card. Like I cash what hasn't been paid yet in terms of relationships. I'm like, here, you get to have all this information about me, even though you really haven't earned it. So I am.
So you treat people as if they are real life apps where you're like, you can have my location, my phone number, all of this information. You can have access to my phone and my multiple accounts, even though I haven't even downloaded you yet.
Sure. But even though I am growing a lot more diligent and a lot more protective over me, I did want to kind of like, I just felt like we should do this episode. We should talk about where we're at, what it's like for two Christian men in the romance department, how pop culture kind of affected that. And honestly, I just want to be real. Like, kind of in a weird way, since I'm moving on from this part of my life, this is almost going to be a cathartic, like,
way to put it to bed.
And if anyone asks, I can just go, just listen to that episode.
Just
honestly,
watch the video.
Because from this moment on, like, I'm going to be making some changes, and there's just certain things I'm just not going to want to talk about anymore.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's out there. Let's just talk about it.
So you're going to refer your wife to this video?
No,
When
she
she's
gets...
like, oh, honey, so like what have you been doing in your dating life before you met me? And you just be like, oh, Pink Popcast.
Why don't we start off? I'll have a question that'll kick this off. What's the first crush you remember having?
CC Williams in 3rd grade.
Oh.
Actually, I think maybe Michaela Dickerson, but she didn't like me back.
That bitch.
That raging Cajun bitch. She's not Cajun.
Was she Cajun?
She wasn't Cajun. I
Sorry.
mean, she could have been. I don't know.
Speaking of which, we're going to be talking from personal experience. By no means, I'm very aware that a lot of the stories we're going to be telling it's going to be very insightful to how we viewed certain people, you know, in the past. Like at least in my case,
I was like,
no, I was like, at least in my case, I know that my views on women have changed significantly.
Okay.
In the past, I mean, hell, 10 years.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna go far back, it'll just be interesting. My first crush that I am aware of, it was this little girl that I was homeschooled growing up. We've mentioned that, and I went to this thing called.
Oh, your sister? Gross.
Shut
You
the hell
didn't
up.
go anywhere.
So, I should clarify because that did kind of sound weird. Homeschool groups are still a thing. We still have school, and it's not always in the home.
Wait, really?
So figure that one out.
Oh, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, we were part of a homeschool group, and it was called the Master's Kids, Master being God. And there was this
just a little bit culty.
I know. There was this cute little girl. Do not remember what her name was, but I did recently reach out to her on Facebook like a year ago.
And you still don't remember her name?
I'm sorry.
Like, I haven't seen the 2 girls that I just mentioned since I was in 3rd grade, and I will never forget their names. One of them moved to Ohio.
Oh, wow.
I'm actually not sure how true that is.
But this girl was, she looked a lot like one of my biggest crushes in Texas, but she was tiny.
Fallon.
Are you just like name dropping? Are we just gonna do that? Yeah.
No. I was like, I just know you can cut it out, but I was like,
whatever. No, she was cute. She was quiet. She looked like she could. She was like just very smart. Apparently, my mom said that I was very instantly attracted to girls who were intelligent.
Yeah.
This girl apparently at the age of like 3 was playing the violin like a champ.
And
so
you were like, oh.
But what was interesting, one of my other best friends was a girl who was blonde. A lot more outgoing, a lot more, I don't want to say aggressive, just more outgoing, I guess would be the term. And I wasn't interested in her at all, but she was interested in me. And
see, she would have been my type because I always went for I still do. I really love outgoing personalities, so
yeah.
I will always go for that.
So that was my first crush. I remember that. And that was, hell, I must have been like 3 or 4.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That was really young.
That's why I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I was like, mine, I think it was 1st or 2nd grade. 1st grade was the first one, but she didn't really like me back.
Right.
And then the second one was 3rd grade. And I kissed her on the cheek on the playground. And we dated for like a week or 2 before she moved away to Ohio. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I dated my best friend after that, Nikki. What's up, girl? How you doing?
How you doing, Nikki?
We're still friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's up, Nikki?
Yeah, she is my oldest friend in history. And yeah, we dated twice, once in I think 3rd and then once in 4th. Once in 4th and once in 5th or 6th or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. And she was my first kiss on the lips.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, shit. How old were you?
I don't remember if we kissed in the 4th, 5th or 6th grade. I don't remember exactly
What is that?
the
What
date.
age is that?
It would
Homeschooled,
be
sorry.
somewhere 9, 10, 11-ish.
Damn. I was 16 when my first kiss happened.
Well, I mean, I didn't make out with her. We just like did little like, ooh, I like you.
So, I mean, yeah, I said...
Were you 16 when you had your first like peck on the lips, or?
It was not a peck. I mean, we kissed. We made out without putting our tongues. Yeah, without tongues.
Okay. But that was like, but you started there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had not even pecked anyone
Because
on
my
that.
first makeout was when I was 18.
Okay.
So
we'll get there.
Closer. I know. But I'm just saying.
So when did you become aware that you liked people? Like, because like crushes, I feel like, because I had a crush, but it was more like a fascination thing. I liked this girl. And I liked being around her, but I wasn't consciously aware of like I wanted her to be my girlfriend. In fact, I was actually a kind of a prude back then. I remember one of the vivid memories I had. I remember there was a girl on the. So you have to understand, I was raised Christian, and while my parents were not like aggressively misogynistic or like I don't know. That culture back then, if women dressed a certain way in the church, it was like that's being too provocative, or that's going to invite unwanted stares, or like it's just even the nicest people, they were going to think like that. They were going to think that like if you're a woman,
which is unfortunate because it was like they were trained to think that.
Right, they were trained to think that way. They were trained to think that if you're a woman, it's your responsibility to keep a man's mind out of the gutter. And when I was a kid, I remember I saw a girl at some sport event at a high school, and her belly button was showing, and I was like, Dad, why is her belly button showing? God. I know, that's really embarrassing.
That's so funny.
I know. And then little did I know
that later on you'd be like, ooh, a belly button. What did I do? It must be Christmas.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
When that puberty hits.
That's disgusting. So yeah, but when did it happen for you when the switch went from like, oh, crush to like, oh, I like that girl? Or in your case?
Boy.
Which one was it first?
So it's a weird progression because it was never, I guess, really like a big, like obviously like I was a kid, so it was less sexual and more just like, you're cute, I'm cute, we have fun together, let's hold hands kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah, where it was like, like I kissed girls, like I kissed the one girl on the cheek, I kissed my other girlfriend at the time, and it was like, it was fun, it was enjoyable, but like I just I guess my first crush that was really driven by feelings would have been in high school. And that was a boy. So
really?
Yeah. And that was kind of the first time, because I was raised Christian and I was raised to believe that you don't have sex until you're married. So I, all throughout, middle, high school, was very much like hearing stories about people having sex and like blah, blah, blah. And I understood the fact that like sex is fun, sex feels good. But I was like, why can't these people just wait? Like, it's not that hard. And then
it is hard. And that's
literally. But then when I got my first real crush, I was like, oh, that's what people are dealing with.
Oh, so up until this point, you were just, oh yeah.
Because I was like, I mean, girls are cute and all, but like, who cares, right? And then, and then like move forward to like having my first guy crush. I was like, oh wow, like that. I just want to like, okay, that's difficult.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
There you go. Then that was how old? You said high school. How old was that?
That was 17, 18, because it was my senior year.
Damn, that's so late.
So yeah, well, it takes a while for your brain to realize like, hey, that thing that you thought you wanted forever, actually you want the opposite, and you're like, oh. Wow.
I was a super prude. I do remember one of my first best friends, and actually I want to rewind because like my first real crush, where it wasn't just like a cute little one that I had as a kid. I was in something called Vacation Bible School, and was out here in California. It was during the 1999, and I remember that because we were at VBS, and one of the arts and crafts that they had us do, they laid out a newspaper, and the newspaper had the poster of South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. That's how I remember it.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it. And this girl, I had seen her at one VBS. I was kind of annoyed. She was a girl. Yeah. And it was like, at that point, you're just like, girls. Ew. Who kisses girls? It's so gay. Like, I was not interested in her at all.
I was like, no. And then I realized, like, all my friends were always girls. So I was never like, that.
Yeah, well, I was part of that other, and it's not that I disliked girls. It just was like I wasn't interested in her. She was annoying. But then she popped up at a smaller VBS, and I was like, "Oh, I recognize you." And she was like, "I recognize you." And then we became each other's partners in everything. And to this day, I really wish I remember her name. Her name was either Samantha or Sarah.
Remember any of their names?
I just remember the poster on the newspaper more than I remember
and the year, but you don't remember the name. Well, I'm the opposite.
She was so much fun. She was like adventurous. She had braces on. I think she was like short hair with like short blonde dirty hair. Mm-hmm. She was like literally, I was like Zach Braff, and she was like the Natalie Portman. It was every manic pixie dream girl at the age of 10 you could ever want. Not 10. I would have been 7.
99 would be 7.
Yeah. And because she was just like,
7, 8.
She would grab my hand, like, we're going to do this together. We're going to do that together. I was like, okay. That. You know?
I love when guys do it.
And it was sweet. And then I remember missing her. That was like one where I just remember like once VBS was over and that high was gone, I was like, oh, I miss Sarah/Samantha, whatever the hell her name was.
That's so sweet.
God, that'd be great to like. I remember she popped up again in another VBS later, but it was like the high was off, and we were just like okay friends again. And
yeah. When it comes back, my last girlfriend was from summer camp, and yeah, it was the same thing. So we were all in summer camp, and we liked each other. Like, we thought each other were attractive. I'm trying to think of what it was really based on, and it was really just looks, because there wasn't like a lot of like, I mean, she was fun. Like, we enjoyed talking to each other.
Right.
But like, I mean, I think we were the only viable options at the camp for
What does that
each
mean?
other. Like, we were the only like age appropriate, like looks appropriate, like people available at the camp. So I was like, you're hot. And she was like, you're hot. And I was like, let's do this. And by do
what was this?
Do this, I mean, we took paddle boats out once and like talked.
Oh, and you took paddle boats out? Is that what we're calling it?
They literally paddle boats. We were friendly. We were into each other. There was this other like little kid at the camp who was like 9, because we were both like 13 or 14. It was like 7th grade, and he liked her too. And he had this like little like lisp. He couldn't say his R's, and he goes, "I love her, and the 3 of us are gonna get married." And I go, "The 3 of us?" And he goes, "You mean her? We're gonna get married." And I was like, all right, buddy, this is you are not in the same world as me.
Close company, but 3's a crowd.
But yeah, so left camp. We kept in contact through letters, because apparently like her mom wouldn't let her text, because that was back when texting actually you had to pay like per message. And her mom,
God, I forgot how much younger than me you are.
What? We're the same age. But like, we had to put I had an unlimited plan, but so we would write letters back and forth. We did about 3 or 4 times, and then it kind of fell off. And then like, she came to visit me once, and we went to a rodeo together, and that was kind of the last time we hung out. And then we lost contact, and that was it. But I didn't realize until a few years ago, actually, that during the whole process of us dating, we never kissed once, and I apparently didn't care. So that was kind of one of the other things that I looked back on and was like, I apparently wasn't even that into her. Like, I was like, that's just more confirmation for me that I was like, I guess I really do just like guys, because that is something that when you really like somebody, that should be probably most of the time at the forefront. It's like, oh, I really want to kiss them. Like, I want to stop talking. I want to kiss you. You know?
Shut up. Let's kiss.
Shut up so I can kiss your face.
Yeah. So like, if we're going to fast forward, in 2001, I moved to Texas. All this time, I've never really shown interest in girls, kind of, but like, I will say though, something that was kind of weird looking back on, and something that you'll notice is like, even if I wasn't sexually active, I have always been physically or just emotionally attached to something that's attainable, unattainable, never gonna exist. Like, it's just, I've always in some way or another had my sights or my compass pointed to someone else. Probably from like age 4 or 5, I can kind of look back and be like, oh, it was a little hazier, but there was always kind of someone I was like, and I might not have known that I was attracted to them, but I was just like, oh, person.
Interesting person, fun person, stay with this person.
So I moved to Texas, kind of a prude. I don't understand why people would kiss or have sex or masturbate. Like,
you're a real prude.
And I didn't understand any of that. And then I joined a youth group. I was the youngest one to join the youth group. I've mentioned that on our Mean Girls episode. Because it's weird when you're homeschooled and you're in church. Like, I should have joined when I was like 13, but I ended up joining when I was 12, and all of my friends were like 13, 14, 15. All of my friends were like 15 and over. So
yeah, that's hard because that's like
very
middle
difficult.
school versus high school. Like, you don't put that together.
And there was a girl who was kind of interested. As soon as I got to Texas, her name was Georgette. Oh shit, she still follows me on Facebook. Oh well,
hi bitch.
I highly doubt if she ever listened to this episode. But yeah, Georgette was my first huge crush out here in Texas, not out in California. And then immediately, and once that wore down, then it was some girl named Summer. And then
Summer. Did she have a sister named Rain?
No.
Or a cousin named Autumn?
No.
Okay.
Georgette, I did nothing about. Summer, I did pass one of those notes to. You know, the
one of them.
you know, like the
like. Do you like me? Check yes or no.
Yeah,
I love that.
And the guy who passed it to her shouted. I was like, "Oh, is this for Summer?" And I was like, "Thanks,
so
Jason."
Embarrassing.
You dick. It's kind of cute though.
I love it. Yeah, that was my first. That was how I ended up dating my friend in the third grade. Was that we passed like a note back for an hour in class, just back and forth. And it was very much, do you like me? Do you like me? I don't know. What do you think? Like, well, we're friends. Like, I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. And it just went back and forth for hours. And then at one point, like, our other friend Candace hopped in and was like reading all the messages.
Hey, we're all going to get married together.
I
the
love
three of us.
So funny. I don't remember his name.
It's Gerald.
No, but he did have his horse that he picked was named Rebel, and I was like, of course you would get Rebel. He'd be like, come on, Webble, pretty Webble, don't eat the glass, Webble. And I was like, buddy.
I'm a Webble without a cause.
Oh, Webble. Okay, so you passed a note.
I passed a note.
What did she say? Oh, did she check no?
I don't think she checked it. She just told me. But it was like, she told me in a sweet way, which I was like,
I was
okay.
like, no, it's better to just say, oh, I'm sorry, than to check no. And
there was some other girl, but I can't remember her name. But then I entered the youth group. And I remember we went to a summer camp. And I hadn't even really entered the youth group yet. This was my first, like, I literally, trial by fire, was thrown into this youth group with all these older kids. And I feel like I mentioned this, but the first night, they had one of those messages. This was during the whole purity culture movement.
You did, yes.
Did I mention this?
Yeah.
The guy literally comes up on stage after they show like this really scary video about how the insane clown posse is like a menace to society and they're going to turn people against the Lord.
Been to a few of those.
That was already terrifying enough. Like, insane clown posse is just scary without the religious, attacks.
Yeah. I remember, this one revival that I went to, and they were talking about just like music and how it like influences you, and how like every celebrity is like working for the devil, basically.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so he was like, well, I had a confession, or a testimony from one guy who said like, as soon as he listened to his first Bone Thugs and Harmony album, he uncontrollably molested his little sister for like 3 years after that. And I was like, I don't think that has to do with the song, dude. Like, I think maybe this guy has a problem.
I think that guy just wanted to molest.
Yeah, so it was like, it's just, I don't know.
That's definitely the
Obviously, it sounded a lot more convincing the way they package everything.
Right.
I was just like...
Well, it wasn't just that. It didn't stop at Insane Clown Posse. Like, I was ever going to listen to Insane Clown Posse.
But some people were.
Some people were. Yeah. It wasn't me. But then the guy gets up on stage, and unfortunately... Sorry, Mom and Dad, not to throw you under the bus, but I hadn't had the talk yet. So there was a lot of things I didn't understand.
At what age was this?
I would have been 12.
Okay. I got the talk 3 times from my mom.
So there was a lot of things I might not have understood. And they probably, if they had talked to me, it was in a way that just wasn't as aggressive as what I was about to say. But the guy went up there and was like, people are having sex and then homosexuals are kissing each other and if you've touched your penis, and he actually was super nice, like, but the way
but up there preaching, it just sounds
the way
very...
I heard it was like, if you've touched your penis then you've masturbated your way to hell. And I was just like, oh, and there was like fire and brimstone, and it just scared the shit out of me. I ran out crying, and like my youth pastor basically had to come up. All of my one of my best friends at the time understandably just found it hilarious. He was like, does this kid not know? Like what? And I'm talking to my youth pastor, and I'm like, I've touched my penis before. Have I sinned and fallen short of the glory of God?
Like wait, actually, like as in touch your penis, like to pee, or like actually, like?
I mean, I just thought it was the devil.
Just your penis is Satan.
So that was something that I was like not prepared for, and it just got it. If you're going to learn about sex, you cannot learn about it
in that way.
In that it has to be like, regardless of if you want your kid to have it or not. Which I'm going to say, a parent doesn't have control over their kid's body, but also the kids don't know shit, and parents are allowed to make decisions that it's like, we are looking out for your well-being. So I'm really not about the whole thing. Like, a kid should just be able to do whatever they want. I'm like, you're gonna let your kid walk out in the middle of the street without checking the road both ways? Like, no. Sex can be just as dangerous as that. However, you need to be able to have that conversation with them and talk to them that they are going to be able to make that choice. Yeah. You need to teach a man to fish, and he'll eat for the rest of his life. Like, you basically have to let the kid know, it's like, you're going to need to be responsible with this. You're going to need to be making decisions. You need to know how to make those decisions, and you need to know how to understand what is safe for you and what's not safe for you, both emotionally and physically. And right now, we're going to be making a lot of those decisions for you, or we're going to be providing an environment that kind of lessens the other decisions you can make. However,
we know that kids find a way, so... But
instead it was, Satan!
Well, yeah, because they're trying to control that, the parents are out, like, let's be debaucherous instinct that kids tend to have, but they're like, that's just a lot.
Is a lot.
And it's like, and it's not for everybody. Like, obviously, as a kid, you didn't need that. Like, other kids might need that, but like, you're not the personality type that would really need, you're gonna burn in hell if you touch your penis. Like, you just need hey, God doesn't like that, and you're set. Like, it was like me. Like,
are you saying that God doesn't like masturbating?
No, I'm just saying, like, if that's what your parents
that's what they're gonna teach, right?
If that's what you're teaching, you just need that. Like, that's how I was growing up. I was very much like if you tell me not to do something, for the most part, I'm not gonna do it unless it's really dumb. But like, I was the opposite of like my brothers, who like, you have to
like fire and brimstone them.
Yeah, you have to beat them. Well, no, physical.
You have to beat them
physical.
Well, so up until that point, so now I'm like, I've got PTSD almost. PTSD.
Oh my god. PTSD.
And sometime after that, also this is the same time I'm learning that Disney films have sexual stuff like snuck in them.
I was hurt by that when I found out.
But like, I don't think I would have been as hurt if I had found it out any other week than that. But it was literally the next day. I'm already like, kind of like, oh my god, the world is just so sexual and gross.
And then you were like, there's nothing safe. No one is safe.
Not even Disney. So I'm on a high horse at this point, where it's just like, I've got to be better than everybody. I cannot slip down those paths. I have crushes on girls, but I'm not sexually active at this point. Like, I'm not interested in that. And then I find out that one of my best friends is struggling with pornography. I just happened to be, at the time I had a Zoom share, which was like the precursor to Zynga and all that.
Oh, okay.
It was like a build your own website.
I forget how much older you are than me.
Shut up. It was called it was moviemadness.zoomshare.com. Doesn't exist anymore, so
look it up. Show us if it
really
does.
Does not exist.
Try it.
And I would always go over to his house, and I'd build the website, and I would like, bro, we knew how to freaking code back in the day.
Yeah, because for MySpace, you actually had to.
Yeah, you had to do that shit. I could not do any of that now. Yeah. I'd have to I'm at Excel going like, boop, 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 boop.
Boop, boop.
Did I just delete the wrong thing? But back then I'm like, tick, 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 like, gotta make it look cool, gotta get all like the flashy gifs. And then I was searching like I was searching
Podcast.
but something with BO or NA. Oh, I remember what I was searching. I was searching for a sign that said new, NEW.
And you got nude.
And it was like nude beaches, nude something, nude. And it was like a whole history. Man, I will say, you know who you are listening to this. I no longer judge you, except that even when I was a kid, I knew how to hide my habit a lot better.
What was it? His computer? Was it like a family computer?
It was like the family computer.
Okay, yeah, you gotta hide
You gotta hide that.
You gotta hide that shit.
So it was like nudes. And then I was like, once again, it was all hitting me. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't see anything. I just saw what he was searching. And I ran up to his room and was like, someone has been doing stuffing, blah, 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 blah. And he was just like,
yeah, dude, that's me. But
and he was really ashamed about it. Not just because of me, but just because like,
12.
no, he would have been, I was 12. I was 13 at that time.
He was like 15 or 16.
17. He was like, he'd been struggling with it for a while. And he was like, pretty well respected, not well respected, but he was like well liked in the youth group. Everyone looked up to him, and he was dealing with pornography. And back in the day, we weren't as sensitive in talking with men about pornography as we are now.
Yeah.
And he was already ashamed about it personally. And then here I came in and he had to break the news to me. And I remember I went from utter shock to like, judgment.
Yeah.
And it was like, it didn't happen all at once, but I remember thinking, because me and him had a history together where it was like, I mean, he was 3 years older than me, so I always felt like I had to like step up my game. And then, and the girl I liked was sometimes an apple of his eye as well.
Oh.
So he would sometimes, and even just to mess with me, because he was one of those personality types that likes to poke.
Oh, I hate that.
No, I love it.
I literally do that to you.
I was like, you do that all the time.
But I wouldn't go like flirt with somebody that you like to mess with.
He didn't actually flirt, but I remember once when my Zynga had a chat room on it, because I could code a chat like box on it. I was like talking to Fallon. I was like, what's up, Fallon? What's up, girl? Like, hey, how you doing?
Spit that game.
And then he was like, hey, we should see a movie together. She's like, yeah, that sounds good. And I was like, not on my Zynga.
Oh, gross. No way. I would have deleted that chat box fast. Yeah.
I got so pissed off at him. So we already had this like rivalry, and then I find out he's dealing with pornography.
And you're like, I got you.
And then about a year later, my sexuality finally, like, it just finally kicks into height. And that would have been 2004 that I discovered that about him. And then 2005, it just went click. And the first time, it was this movie. I can't remember what it was called. It was a movie about a guy who's trying to find Marilyn Monroe and go on a date with her.
Oh, no, I don't know what that is.
And there's a scene at a nude beach. And we were in the middle of moving, so I was at someone's house. They had HBO, and it wasn't even bad. It was like just like it was like a PG-13 scene at a nude beach. So you saw butts.
But yeah, when it hits.
And my brain just went, well, that's pretty. And I won't go into details, but I discovered things that night.
The rest is history.
Sorry. Guys, is this a little too much?
Is it too real?
Hold on, let me take a sip from my let's give you a break.
On Wednesdays. Oh,
there's nothing in there.
Particularly good today.
There's nothing in there. All right, so we'll stop my story right there for the moment. What came next for you?
My high school experience, I guess, just to not skip over it, was the whole process of me, I think, actually the whole coming to terms with sexuality thing took until about like 4 to 5 years ago.
Right.
So that was a whole process, but just the having the interest slowly flip was really weird for me. I was like, I don't even have a lot to say about it, because I am more of a person that lets things happen. I don't like to shame myself for certain things. I was an adult, or I was a teenager. I had hormones. I dealt with pornography. I had times when I was ashamed of it. I had times when I wasn't. I grew up in a house that was very sex positive, and not sex positive as in go out and have sex with everyone, but sex positive as in my dad is very vocal about how much he is into my mom. So just grew up very much knowing that sex was a thing. Like I don't remember not knowing what sex is.
Right. That's weird.
And then
not weird. That's just,
yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
And then growing up, when I was like early teens, late teens kind of thing, like just having my dad be very open about, it's better to masturbate than to go out there and do something with somebody that you might regret or possibly get somebody pregnant.
Yeah, but what about all those kittens you're killing?
Yeah.
And all that hair you're growing on your palm?
Not a thing.
Palms you sure? You don't know.
Palms are clean.
Somewhere out there, some ladies' kittens are just dying by the dozen.
What's happening?
It's like, it's Friday night, she's settling in, and then the kitten just goes, then it's also midday, and the cat goes, and then she's like, oh my God. Sometimes,
really?
Sometimes 3 cats die a day, and she's just like, Benjamin, I'm going to need you to limit that to 1 cat per day.
Nah, girl. Nah. Hey,
like, whoa.
If that's how it has to be, then that's how it has to be. But
somewhere out there, there's cats dying.
There's a monster that needs to be
the cat killer. Did your, obviously your parents weren't like that, but were you ever taught that, like that something would happen?
No. I remember when I first kind of was starting and still feeling guilty about it, I would feel like if I did that, then something bad would happen that day. Whether it was, I would scrape my knee or I would like fail a test or something to that varying degree. Until I realized that I was really just looking for anything bad to happen that day. And then I was like, that's because you masturbated. Like, oh, man.
Thanks, Obama.
So, that was kind of my experience. Also, I had an older brother who was 4 years older than me, and he was kind of he was the one that just he wasn't the goody-goody. So he did a lot of stuff that...
And told you about it, or?
Yeah, he was very open in conversations with me about things. So I learned about things probably 4 years before I should have, because when he was discovering them, he was showing me. So I just kind of always knew what was going on because my older brother would give me the heads up and see.
Right. How much of that was affected by what you were watching, or what society was presenting? Because obviously, growing up as a Christian, you have one view of sexuality presented to you.
Yeah.
And then
growing up in the world, you have another. And I just always, I watched Friends all the time, loved the show, wanted to be like most of them. I just understood that wouldn't include having sex with random people. And I just always was like, oh yeah, I'm just like Joey, except I'm not having sex with a bunch of random people. Like, it was just, I don't know. Like, I guess I was just able to kind of separate or let both worlds kind of coexist.
Yeah, I was not able to do that.
Yeah, and I was like, it was kind of like it's the same way as like, how like religion and science, sometimes people can't do both. Like, it's like,
right.
People think that, oh, if you're Christian, you don't believe in evolution, or if you're like a scientist, you can't believe in creation. I was able to coexist my Christianity with like pop culture is sex and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, it doesn't have to be for me.
I was not able to do that.
Yeah.
One of the biggest culprits was actually Friends.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to discover my own sexuality. I'm starting to, figure out that I like certain things. I actually, and I want to clarify, I never really officially watched pornography until way later in my life. I always found like loopholes around it that made me kind of like,
oh, but that doesn't count.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Almost like I felt guilty, but I was like, it's not the real thing.
Yeah.
So I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm starting to deal with the shame, because it's like all this shame I'd heaped upon my friend. Now it's like coming right back at me.
I
and I'm
have learned that literally for everything in my life that I've judged someone for, I find out a few years later I'm doing the same thing.
And so there you go.
Yeah. Like, but, even if it was like a passing, like, that's weird judgment, I'll like look back a few years later and I'll be like, I did the exact same thing last week. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And it was very humbling. It was very, because not only could I not reach out to him, I didn't even know how to reach out, period. I was not... My parents were amazing, and they were open and loving and honest with me. But I was not taught by the church how to reach out
for help.
Period. I can't even. I'm thinking back on it now, and I don't even know how I would have been able to formulate a conversation starter. I wouldn't even know how. Like, I was stuck. I was trapped in these feelings of shame, and I had no one to help navigate me through the natural aspect of it.
Yeah.
All the while, I'm watching a ton of movies and television, and all of them are presenting this very cutesy kind of like,
oh, we had sex and I don't remember this person's name.
well, it's not even about the sex, because I was able to discontinue that. Like, for me, sex was always like a non-issue. Like that, I wasn't like triggered by that. I would know like, well, I just don't do that. But it was the relationship aspect of it. The frivolousness with which people would be like, oh, isn't she so cute? And I like this person. One of my favorite shows growing up was Friends, and then it was Scrubs. And looking back, JD is a horrible role model when it comes to relationships. In fact, all of the characters from Friends are. And I still to this day,
I feel it.
Like, I get that a lot of these shows are kind of presented from a perspective of like, we don't have everything figured out, and we're just trying to grow up, and don't judge us. But I would say the most conservative aspect about me to this day, even though I'm very accepting of a lot of things, is like, I'm not big into the whole culture across any board of just, oh, well, we're figuring it out. Yeah. I'm like, no. We are, and I apologize, we are fucking adults. Like, we need to get our shit, get all of our shit, all of it. Just pack that shit together and figure it out. We are not here alone. So to just have a blasé attitude about like, oh, I'm just figuring it out, it's like, get fucked, honestly. I'm sorry.
So did we hit like 3 references just there? Like, like was it Rick and Morty, then the Vine? There was one a second ago, but I
can't remember.
I know somebody who was saying like we do a lot of inside jokes that we don't reference.
I know. Sorry.
Like,
sorry for the cussing and sorry for the inside jokes.
Well, yeah.
But it's frustrating because the way it was presented at me was just kind of this like, just go with the flow, figure it out. Like, it's very reckless. It was very reckless. And all this time I'm starting to develop feelings. I've always been like interested in girls like way older than me as a kid. I'm always interested in these like girls that are kind of like out of my reach. And then I start to get interested, and here's where the story gets juicy.
Yeah.
I'm going to call him.
You're interested in a boy?
No. My friend who I discovered had an addiction to porn. His name, I'm going to call him Lighthouse because he was tall.
All right, Lighthouse. I know that your name is actually Adam. Just kidding. It's not right.
Lighthouse had a sister.
Oh, Dark House.
No. And I was attracted to this sister a little bit. And she was slightly attracted to me. And we started to kind of have, since I was over his house all the time, we were hanging out a lot. And we had this kind of like fun, kind of like, oh, friendship type thing. And I started to see it like, oh my God, I'm Chandler and she's Monica. And it was like, or
that's funny, but Chandler and Monica are actually a good relationship to model yourself after.
I don't think any relationship
stuck together.
Any relationship on TV is not a good relationship to model yourself after because it's not real.
I guess so.
It's not real. And that was like, I still will to this day, like, I don't really have nostalgia for Friends anymore. Like, every time people are like, oh, Friends is one of my favorite shows, I'm like, fuck that show.
I watch it every night before
bed. One of my favorite sitcoms now is It's Always Sunny, only because it's one of the few sitcoms.
They know that they're shit.
They're like, we are shitty people.
Yeah. I love that show, though. It's so funny.
And it's like, I just got so tired of, I was raised on shows where people acted selfish and did their own thing. And it was like little to no consequences. And the show never had a commentary about it. It just was like, just do what you want and we'll figure it out. And it all ends up cute in the end. But
well, that makes sense because I do think like that. So maybe that's what it is.
These characters, they can do whatever the hell they want. They can literally sleep with one person, then break their heart the next minute. And it's like at the end, it's okay because it's Chandler and Monica. Yeah. It's okay that he fooled around and made Janice like, but Janice was a shrill, annoying person. It's fine.
Yeah.
Chandler's so cute. He doesn't need to be with.
Janice is a good person, but
I'm not saying she's a good person. I'm just saying she didn't need to be treated like
she's a real person.
Yes.
But yeah, I was like,
I ranted.
I was like, no, you're fine. There's a few times that he goes back and he intentionally does want to commit to her, and she actually at one point ended up cheating on him and leaving him, and then from then on she was just an annoying ex. So I was like, I know you don't.
I'm just saying. When I was a kid,
defend the show.
When I was a kid, I was literally. I remember thinking, I am learning how to
interact with the world.
I'm learning how to interact with women and how to interact with relationships based on these shows. And the three biggest ones were
not the best.
Everybody Loves Raymond, which I was doing the opposite. I was like, just do everything opposite of what Ray does, and you'll be fine.
I feel like that's how I felt about like. Even like I love Friends, but I knew like, hey, that was dumb. Like I feel like I was learning what not to do. Like
I was still holding Chandler and Monica up to a obviously like Ross and Rachel. That was a different. I was like, well, those people are
when it's obvious, but like I feel like I would probably hold Chandler and Monica up to be like they're cute. They're like
they're just not real.
They're a real non-Christian relationship, maybe.
They're not real. I don't. And like another one was Juno. I was like, isn't this movie so cute? Look how cute Juno is with her cute.
I hated Juno. I just hate any of those types of movies.
Oh, those like,
yeah, like, how would you even describe that? Like teen angsty, weird,
quirky,
low budget, quirky. That's the word. I hate it. Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre.
Juno was a film that was like amazing when I first saw it, and then like had little to no shelf life. Because I was just like, oh, I find that really annoying now. But all of this is becoming this concoction of how I view women and how I'm like, oh, me and Lighthouse's girlfriend, where she's sister. It's like me and the sister, like, oh, she's so cute. Like, we'll have this. But all the time, by the way, I'm thinking, I don't know if I want this girl to be my first kiss. So I'm very clearly aware
that you're not actually interested.
But I was still, and this is what I started noticing, I was into the chase.
Wow.
I was starting to get into the chase because up until that point, every girl was out of reach. And so I had almost gotten conditioned
to be like, I don't even have a shot.
I don't have a shot, so I'm going to try to make something work, but I don't know if it's actually going to work. So a little bit of setup at this time.
Oh my gosh. I remember. Yeah.
Right before I'm starting to be interested in Lighthouse's girlfriend. Gosh darn it.
Lighthouse's sister.
Her name is...
Dark House.
No, I'm going to call her...
Dark House.
No, I'm not calling her Dark House. Curly. She had curly hair.
Dark House.
I'm going to call her Curly.
Dark House.
No. So right before I'm interested in Curly, the year is 2006. 2006. And there's this girl that I'm going...
year. I loved 2006.
This girl I'm interested in, her name was Rachel, and I don't feel bad about saying her name.
Okay.
Because she literally did nothing except get in the way of my affections. So when I'm noticing that Fallon's
more like a Janice,
I'm realizing that Fallon's not interested in me, the one that's 3 years older. I'm not interested in Curly just yet.
Dark House.
Shut up. Rachel, I'm going to this other homeschool group with, and she's super cute. And I'm always kind of like slightly interested in her, but I never tell her anything. She moved. I remember I thought, oh, I'm going to invite this girl to a date. And this is in 2006. And I was like, her last name was, damn it, now I just said her full name, but her last name was Turner, and she loved the Pirates of the Caribbean movies because it was like Elizabeth Turner. So I was like, I invited her to go see Pirates of the Caribbean 2 in theaters. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the first time I'm going to ask like a girl to a date. I didn't say date. I just said, hey, we should see Pirates of the Caribbean 2 together because I know you like it. And she was like, yeah.
Cute.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Followed by, hey, can Caleb, my brother, come? I was like,
no.
Okay.
Aww.
And then she's like, you should invite your sister and your parents. And I was like,
no.
So
that's annoying.
The
Rachel Turner.
The six of us ended up going.
Come on, Rachel Turner.
And then we go to see the movie, and we saw it at that rave that was off the 820.
The like 4-story one. I love that place.
So we see it at that, and then once we're done, they're like, my parents are asking them, so what's new with you guys? And they're like, oh, we're going to be moving to Hawaii. And I was like, well, fuck me then.
I guess this was just completely pointless.
This is not working out.
Nope.
She eventually moves away, and I watched this movie called Little Manhattan, and it had Josh Hutcherson in it.
Okay.
You know him?
Yeah.
PETA.
Yeah.
And this whole movie, he's falling for this girl, and he's just like, you just got to tell her. And he finally blabs out to her that he loves her. And I watch this movie, and I'm like, I just get swelled up with this, like, that's what I'll do. So I finally, I type up this entire letter, and I'm like, I watch this movie, and I just don't want to I don't want to leave things unsaid. And I was literally inspired by this film.
Yeah.
And I send this email to Rachel, who has now moved away. I send this email to her, and I tell her that I love her. And she finally emails back and just is like, wow, I never knew you did, and I feel the same way. And, you know, and so I
just invited my entire family to our date because I love you.
Well, this was like a year later.
Girls
and
suck.
Moved away. But she had felt the same way about me. And so for
That's
like
crazy.
For a good like few weeks, we were interested in each other, and we were like, I don't know, dating, but either way, but she was in a different state. And eventually it kind of like
died out.
It died out, but it didn't die out explicitly. So then,
what does that mean?
So then,
own it.
This is the end of
2007.
Yeah, this is like
2008.
So during this time, oh my God, this was the end of like 2006. They moved away, and like beginning of 2007, and then later on, I'm hanging out a lot
with Dark House,
with Lighthouse and Curly, because Lighthouse was hosting a dinner theater that our church was putting on.
Lighthouse and Dark House probably are gonna know who they are, right?
Oh yeah, they absolutely will if they listen to this.
Awkward.
I just didn't ask him before, so I didn't want to say his name.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm probably gonna be guarding all of my names too.
So
one of them.
So Curly and I are hanging out an awful lot while he's practicing.
Who?
Don't make me say it. I'm not gonna say it. So anyway,
Dark House.
We're hanging out a lot, and finally I'm like, oh, I kind of like her. So I get a bright idea. I'm starting to like ask my sister, who's also best friends with her. I'm like, hey, does so-and-so kind of like me? I think she's kind of cute. I'm getting like real Chandler and Monica vibes. I'm like, oh, we could be so cute and quirky together.
Aww.
I'm so salty about this.
I know, like you really are holding it against friends, and I'm like, I don't think it was their fault, man.
No, man, I watched one episode of Friends, and then I just became a shitty boy. I guess it was like all that fault.
Must be the Illuminati.
So I get the bright idea eventually. I'm like, I'm gonna tell this girl that I like her. You know what I do?
What's that? Well, I do know, but for the audience, what is it?
I go into my computer. I take out that draft of the email I sent to Rachel, and I do a little rewriting. You know?
Oh, no.
Little mad gabs. I take out certain adjectives and names, and I replace them, shorten some things, and bada bing, bada boo, here I got another note for Curly.
Oh my gosh, Dark House, I'm sorry.
And I print it out. I fold it up. I'm hanging out with them. All this time, I had seen an episode from Scrubs called, what is it called? It is called My Fault in season 3. JD finally gets Elliot. And at the very end, the entire time of the episode, Carla's telling him, you just want what you can't have. And he's like, that's not true. Finally gets Elliot. The literal last line of the episode is him. She's saying, you finally have me. Then he looks at the camera and it's like, oh my God, I don't want her. And I remember when I saw that, I went, I wonder if that's me. So I walk Curly upstairs, and I hand her the note. She walks into her room and reads it. She comes out. She gives me a hug. I desperately try to hide my boner. And, and then immediately think to myself, holy shit, I don't want to be with her, and I don't want to kiss her.
Really?
Kid, you freaking
gosh.
not.
I feel like you're so heavily influenced by like
media. I am disproportionately influenced by media. Like, it's way more than other people, and I get that. So as frustrating as Friends is, I do understand that I'm kind of a special case where it's like
the curious case of Josiah James Rizzo.
So I tell this girl I like her, and then we're downstairs and we're sitting next to each other, and I'm thinking, I don't know what to do anymore. And I guess I finally got it. So it was a sleepover. I'm hanging out with all of them. And then the next day I go home and I'm like, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to get out of this? I don't know what to do. I didn't know what my next step would be, because I was like, I don't know if I want to tell my parents. I don't know if I want to date. Like, I'm just not interested.
Yeah.
The fling was more fun.
Why did you give her a note? Like, what?
I'm not saying it was right. It was shitty. But then guess what happens?
What?
I get a Yahoo message from Lighthouse. Now, I want to tell you something. You know my sister, right?
Yeah.
If some guy gave my sister a note telling her that he loved her, would my sister ever show me that note?
No, but you guys have a different relationship.
Yes, we do. And I was basing...
Yeah.
I knew subtly what I had done was wrong because, and I hadn't said this, but I had shown Lighthouse the email I had sent to Rachel, the first girl, months ago. And he said, hey, man, congrats for finally telling her. I thought to myself, hey, maybe don't copy and paste the same letter. But I was like, it's not like she's going to show her brother.
Oh, my God.
She showed her brother.
I am literally so uncomfortable. Like, I am so uncomfortable.
She showed her brother, and he messages me like, what the living hell? And you know what I thought? Oh, thank God. Oh, man, I'm so sorry. Oh, I know
this is going to get you out of it.
You're my best friend. I would never mean to hurt our relationship. And then I messaged her, oh, man, you know, Lighthouse is my friend. I've been friends with him longer than I've been friends with you. And I don't want to do anything to jeopardize our relationship. And I don't think we can do this.
I literally want to punch you in the face right now. Makes me so mad.
I did that. And then I later found out that she, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back for like a depression that she had for like a good 2 years. And
oh, honey, I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm sorry that boys are stupid, because they are.
She recently got married, though.
Oh, good for her. He's still single, so suck on that.
Or don't suck on that, actually.
You know, whatever makes you happy, girl. All right, guys, that ends part 1 for this episode. So make sure you are following, liking, commenting, subscribing to us on all platforms at Pink Popcast.
That's pop with a P.
And make sure to give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts and to subscribe to us on YouTube, and make sure you hit the bell for notifications.
And stay tuned next week for the conclusion, part 2 of our romantic histories. Until then, I'm Josiah Rizzo.
I'm Benji Jones.
And on Wednesdays, we wear pink. Hey guys, and welcome to On Wednesdays We Wear Pink. Today we're talking about our romantic histories and the films and pop culture that helped shape those.
Yes.